The late great Katharine Hepburn had a colourful career and an equally colourful private life. The life of the great Kate is tackled in a new play, Tea at 5.
When you're out there and immersed in the magic and the lights are shining and the cameras are rolling and your bank account is growing, you think it will never end. But it does. And when you fall harder than those who never had a taste of what you had. According to columnists,
it's a brilliant portrayal. The production portrays Hepburn at 31 in 1938 and then at age 76 in 1983. It was written for actress Kate Mulgrew. I'm delighted to have Kate with us this morning, also known as Captain Janeway in Star Trek to millions of Trekkies.
Janeway, and one of whom you clearly are not.
Yeah, I'm not a Trekkie. You're in safe hands. But I have to say, you know, Trekkies are so hardcore, and I've heard...
Trekkers, by the way.
Trekkers.
I must correct you.
Trekkers,
yes.
Not Trekkies?
No, they call themselves trekkers, and quite appropriately.
All right.
Trek the long distance.
But there you are, you're giving the performance of a lifetime on stage, playing Katharine Hepburn, and there are all these Trekkie fans sitting in costume in the audience. It does happen, doesn't it?
Well, it's extraordinary. Their allegiance is unparalleled. They're there. They've come for 50, 60 performances. They've come from the beginning. And I must say, I feel quite remarkably supported by them.
Katharine Hepburn, she did have an incredibly colourful life, a great career, met with a lot of challenges as well. When did you know, or when did the writer know that you had a knack for playing Hepburn? Because not an easy person to take on, and yet you've done it so well that someone wrote this play for you.
Yes, his name is Matthew Lombardo, and the liaison was my best friend Nancy Addison, who has since died. But they were watching me in that very Star Trek Voyager, of which you are such a great fan, Liam.
Yeah.
And he said, my heavens, she's reminiscent of Hepburn, she should play her. And Nancy said, write it and I'll get it to her. He flew down to Miami, he wrote it in 3 days, and they sent it to me, and I must say I was instantly struck by what I thought was a grand construct. For such a young guy to write, you know, the polarity, 31 in Act 1 and 76 in Act 2, shows the scope and breadth of her life in a very new and I think fascinating way.
Well, it says a lot about you also, being able to play an actress at two very broad stages of her life.
Well, particularly when I'm so terribly young.
Yeah, a 25-year-old playing a 31-year-old and
exactly.
a 76-year-old.
Liam.
What fascinated you most, or has fascinated you most, about Katharine Hepburn? We know she's one of the greatest actresses, but what intrigued you most about her and her life?
Well, of course, transcending the iconic is always looks to be an impossible task and is very daunting, but I tried to find what I thought was the core of her being, and I think that is her vulnerability and her great courage in a rather conflicted marriage, but one that seemed to work in her psychology.
Yeah. Well, I know the performance is stunning because the reviews so far, since you've been playing it, have been out of this world. Folks at home, if you want to check out the production, some information on your screen. The play opens on Tuesday, June 2nd. Or is it Tuesday or is that Thursday? It is tomorrow night. There we are. It runs right through June 19th at the Marines Memorial Theatre on Sutter Street in San Francisco. Treat yourself and go check out the production. Kate Mulgrew, an absolute delight.
It was mine.
Thanks for popping in.
Thank you, Liam.
And let's do tea next time.
Oh,
all right.
Does it have to be tea?
All right, with that, let's go back to Mr. Murphy without a cup of tea, but some news instead.
All right, thanks so much. How demure. Thank you. 9:28 is the time. Ahead, the latest on a surreal scene, really, this morning in Southern California, where a landslide tears through an exclusive neighborhood along the coast. Also, the 49ers in the news, not because of what they do on the field, but